Luther and Calvin, both are theologians. So they have an important contribution. Remember the Bible, when Adam and Eve got kicked out from the Garden of Eden. You know what God said? They toil. They day in, day out, they toil with their hands, you know. So work is drudgery, it's punishment, right? Because they obey God, so now they have to work for the rest of their life and sweat it out, no fun, no joy. But during the Reformation, Luther and then Calvin, Luther developed theology of work. He said, look, work cannot be all drudgery and bad, you know, or sweating and toiling and no fun. He said, actually, work can be a sense of calling from God. Work actually has significance, has spiritual significance. Work is one way, it's an important way for us to fulfill a special mission on earth. Because now he elevate work to higher ground now. Calvin followed the same line, saying, look, vocation, university education and vocation is an important way to transform the world for God's glory. See? Again, elevate work to something like evangelistic work. You actually can transform society, can restore paradise through education and work. Nothing about that. And Weber later on wrote a favorite book called The Protestant Work Ethic. Now, interesting, he did a massive study, compared Catholic countries and Protestant countries and other countries. And he discovered like Western Europe and North America tend to be more prosperous, economically more prosperous, tend to progress much more faster than Catholic country or country belong to other religions. So Weber come to the conclusion is that, well, it has something to do with the religion. Right? It has something to do with the belief that material blessing or wealth is a sign of God's approval and blessing on their hard work. See? You work hard and God bless you with material wealth. So you can see that success and fulfillment and enjoyment is importantly related to your attitude towards work. Now, nowadays, my friend Stegner and other people say, well, you can have a sense of calling without theological beliefs. In other words, there are alternative transcendental sources. You're going to say, well, my calling is to serve humanity. Or my calling is save the environment. Or my calling, like Jack Layton, my calling is social justice and equality. I want to help all the marginalized people, the poor people, the seniors, the immigrants. I want to give them more opportunities, more benefits. So that it transcends our interest, right? So what is based on religion, based on a socialism or environmentalism. You're working on something for a higher purpose, more than just personal success, you know. And now there's a lot of research on positive psychology. Now here's another point now. I just have a thesis from Australia University, a doctoral dissertation. Hi, Julia. Oh, Dana. I'm back in town. Now this is very interesting. This thesis is from I used to exam a doctoral dissertation from Australia, Seoul University. Now this is an interesting thesis, written by a man on the calling to be a parent, and parenting, like motherhood parenting. Right? So nowadays, very few women say, my calling is to be a mom. How many women there say, my calling is to be a mom, stay-home mom, and raise children? How many here?
I feel like that. I work full time, but I feel that's my calling.
Oh yeah, very interesting. My niece, she's a medical doctor, right? But she feels her calling to be a mom, so she not only work 1 day a week to keep up the license.
I'm calling her 3 times a day.
Huh?
I'm calling my mom 3 times a day.
So, interesting. Now, motherhood can be calling, right? Now, parenting can also be calling. Some men, I don't know how many men there, say, my calling is to be a stay-at-home dad. Look at the children. Do you know men like that? Not too many, but there are men like that say, I'm so happy to stay home, cooking for my wife, look after children. My wife is smart, she has good money, right? And I hate work. I prefer to play with children. So don't not parenting, okay? Parenting can be calling.
Definitely.
Can't stay home for kids, you go to work.
And you wouldn't survive.
Now, my mouth so dry, what did I eat? My mouth so dry.
Yes, this
Ration food. Now, here's some important concept, okay? Some more purpose, different type of purpose, right? Extrinsic versus intrinsic. Remember Steve Jobs said, all the extrinsic motivations, right? Money, name, recognition, they will all fade away when that comes, right? So extrinsic is less important than intrinsic. Now this morning, when we go to church, I spoke to children running around here. Children ran around, up, down, say, what for? I go downstairs, come downstairs, they ran around. That was something intrinsic, but they ran around just for fun of it. They don't run around running a race, so I'm just getting nowhere, running back and forth. They can't stay. There's some energy, right? So intrinsic, right? But they just enjoy doing it. They can't sit still. They can't sit still, right?